Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Looks like there are two of you here already. Three. We'll get started in just a few minutes, in another minute or two. Good morning and welcome to the Backpacktraders training room for Thursday, March 25th, 2021. All right, so what's going on to start with this morning? Our first place to look is unleaded, starting at 9 o'clock. We have the setup at 16 seconds after our start time, but that's a 7-second bar. So I would say I wasn't able to get into that, but I did go ahead and place my order, and it got in sync back over here when it crossed back over at 9:06:26 or thereabouts on the bar that closed then, somewhere between 9:06:02 and 9:06:26, and came down and hit target one, money management, and target one. Target one was 19 ticks, so that's a nice profitable trade. And then second position got a few more ticks, 59.6, stopping out at 59.16 for 6 more ticks. Our entry was at 59.22. So 5-tick crude, the 8-tick crude for the 9 a.m. mini session, one and done. Unleaded gas. I'm going to go back and take a look at this one with you too. We had exactly the same timestamps for the setup and the subsequent bar, and there again I say 7 seconds is not tradable. So it went up. You now have if you're using the SMA trades, you have the long trade at 94.22, makes money management and picks up 12 ticks at 94.34. So that's 24 ticks total on 2 positions. And we still need another trade, which then we get this long at 9:13:08. And that you definitely would have been able to get into that, whether it was on the original or setup or getting in sync a couple of bars later. But that one also hits money management and stops out. See, our entry was at 93.91, and we stopped out at 93.99, so another 16 ticks, 40 ticks on the day. That's $160, and that is POQ with 2 money management trades. So a little bit different setup there. If you did not if you didn't use the earlier SMA trade, then you would be taking the short, and you would be taking heat here, and it looks like it's about to stop out. It's at 50, then it just did stop out. And we are still about 5 minutes plus before our start time for the YM. And I believe also 8:30 Central start for soybeans. Pound Aussie had the short that was a full stop out. Small trade, so waiting for a new setup there. The Euro Yen is in its short trade here. That setup occurring an hour before our start time, but obviously getting in sync. Start time occurring in this bar, getting in sync right during this bar. So it's short the Euro Yen. Our entry there was 128.76. Money management 128, and target 1 at 128.64. So quick recap of things this morning. That's all there is so far. Waiting for our start time for the YM and the Russell if you're following it. And the Russell is flat. The YM is currently in a long, setting up before our start time. And that's a squeeze zone filtered trade on the Russell. Good morning, Brett, Armando. Say hello in the chat, please, because we don't know on YouTube. We don't know who's on with us unless you say hello. Also, please do remember to hit the like button. Preferably don't break it, but that helps Troy's channel with the YouTube algorithm. All right. Where are we? Another 20 seconds to market open. Russell's still flat. YM is in a long. We'll look for a new setup after this trade completes on the YM. And the market is opened. Not much of a reaction to that. Welcome to those joining us a few minutes after we started. I see we've grown to 14 in the room so far. Please do say hello. That's the only way I know who's here on YouTube. And since we're basically done with unleaded, let's take a look. I have the spotlight soybean chart up here, basically with system defaults. I just realized yesterday Troy is running the counterpunch, and I will get that set up over the weekend. And there is a short and a long on the Russell. That bar was 20. The short probably was tradable and full stop out, and then you get long, most likely tradable as well. That's a 12-second bar. Hopefully you would have had time to get in that. The YM with a long. Looks like things moving rather quickly right now. Soybeans got a 930.42 to 930.45. Probably got in sync with the long as it came back down. And you have a stop and reverse to short at 1420, which we've just touched. If you didn't already have your order in, I'd bring it down to 1975. And the Russell long hitting money management and target 2. So that target 2 is 59 ticks, 38 to target 1. I would say, and our risk on that small short trade was only 27, so that'll be a POQ. Yeah, because we're trailing up nicely. So 27 tick loss times 2 positions, and we've already got at least even with target 1, it was a 38. So yeah, your POQ on the Russell on 2 trades. And the YM taking heat on its long trade. Quite a few bars this morning. And we are short on soybeans. It's like 18.25 for money management. And the YM stopping and reversing to short, hitting money management, and almost down to target 2. And there's target 2. So now actually target 1 was our objective. That was actually a fairly small trade for the YM. Just 18 ticks. 28 to target 2 if you chose to move it on down to target 2. And we have a loss of 174 down to 142. So 32 tick loss. So we need to get, we're still down 36 using target 2. So we'll have to get a little beyond target 2 with the trailer to get to POQ. Actually, that would have been 26 with our stop and reverse adjust. So actually, we've got to go to 38. And stopping and reversing back to long on the YM at, since that's a positive, we don't adjust that. And the entry would be 124. From 142 is 18. And 26 is 44. And we were down 64, so we're down 20, and there's money management already. And our target 1. This is a bigger trade, so target 1 at 26 ticks. And that will be POQ. Puts us 6 ticks positive already. And still with the trailing position. And we already got positive on the Russell, so that we're not watching. Soybeans kind of back and forth. Actually, if memory serves, that counterpunch trade plan was a one and done. So we actually would have taken the exit at the stop and reverse and not at the initial stop and reverse, and we would be done with that plan. And that would be a good thing today. I'm going to have to go back and look at that plan again to make sure of where we are. And the YM stopping out 32,129. So 5 more ticks. Just 11 ticks positive, but that gets us positive on the day, and that's POQ. So crude, the Russell, the YM, all POQ. We have a new short on the pound Aussie at 8059. Also not a terribly large trade. That's the third attempt at a reversing short. That one is down below the 20 SMA. Our money management is slightly below the 50 EMA. What does trade today look like? It looks like nothing's come out yet from trade today. And that just may be a difference in my data and his. And that was the last bar that possible for the setup. So if he didn't get a setup, he probably is not, even if this bar closes down. That being the fourth bar 5, starting the count at 1 on the exhaustion dots. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that is a difference in data between the two, between Kevin and I, and the platforms as well. And this is a good example of things showing up differently on the different platforms. And there is the new trade. Oh, it came out 3 minutes ago. All right, it just showed up on my screen. But entry at 8052. That's a little bit, yeah, that's a little bit lower than mine. Yeah, his is coming off of this bar, which means his exhaustion dots came later as well. Now I did get down to exactly 5.2, which was his entry. My entry was at 5.9. But that's basically unleaded with another full stop out on the short. If that was 25, yeah, chances are you're in that, would have been in that one. So if you didn't use the SMA trade, turning into a difficult session on unleaded. Now our next opportunity on crude would be the 10 a.m. session. Questions this morning. I've covered up my chat box. Sorry about that. Good morning. I assume that's Brad from the username. All right, slow morning this morning. Actually, we got done quickly with most of our futures charts. Focusing now, another day of focusing on the currencies. We'll see if they move for us today, unlike Tuesday. The YM setting a session low and then taking a nice little bounce. Not much going on. And now I have a stop and reverse long on the pound Aussie, and because of the differences in data, I suspect Kevin is not going to have this one, although he's typing something, so it may be there on his as well. Plots at 8064, that would adjust to 66, and go to 68 on the stop and reverse. So that's going to push the money management all the way out to $80.80, which is just a couple of ticks from target 3. And there's a possible long trade. Kevin's got it at 8066. And did trigger in. So the pound Aussie is long now. And the difference in data, Kevin didn't ever trigger in on the short trade, so that was not a stop and reverse, and that's why his entry was at 66. And the euro yen is going sideways. And now the YM and the Russell are pushing up strongly. Crude dropping rapidly. But we're not trading any of those at the moment. Now, has soybeans done anything? Finally resolved into a nice short trade. On a one and done plan, we wouldn't be in that, and we would have stayed out of 2 additional stop and reverses, because there would have been 1, 2, 3 stop and reverses to get to that trade. So staying out of that one would probably have been a good thing today. Sure, Mike. The Russell and the YM are in the Russell's upper left corner. The YM is upper right corner. Crude is CL in the top center. And unleaded gas is in the lower right. Pound Aussie is in the lower left. And the Euro Yen is in the bottom center. The Russell, of course, being the RTY, and the Dow being the YM. Crude being CL futures, and unleaded gas is RB. And soybeans is also in the lower right behind unleaded. That's soybeans there. symbol ZS on NinjaTrader. I believe it's just S on TradeStation. Both of our index futures are working down near their session lows. They pulled up a bit above them. Now seem to be consolidating. No surprise, they're around the 50, both around the 50 EMA, the Russell and the YM, or the Russell and the Dow. And I try to stay pretty consistent with what Troy's layout is as well, so his layout's going to be pretty close to the same. I think he's running unleaded in the bottom center and switching that back and forth with Euro Yen. Interesting. Unleaded with a new long that exactly matches a previous trade. Matches the second money management trade we had earlier, based on the lines I have on the chart. Entry at 93.91 and money management at 94.27. And that's exactly what we have on this one. And the Russell and the YM both giving us a nice bounce, as well as crude. Crude and unleaded. Pound Aussie setting a new session high. So trying to work up toward our money management and targets. Target 3 on my chart being the active target. Yeah, same on Kevin's. He's got the target 3 at 8081, which I believe is where mine is. Yep, target 3 at 8081, target 4 at 8086. So he's got pretty close to the same trade. Because of the... Now he has 8077 for money management. I've got 8080 because of the stop and reverse adjust. And 77 sounds like it's going to be... That should be a pip higher if his entry was 66, because it should be 12 pips. 12 pip minimum. but I suspect that's because he's not got uh, he's not plotting key level adjustments. He's doing that manually, so that would actually be correct for the 64 entry as it plotted, but it's a pip low for the 66 entry that he used because of key level adjustment around the 5. And both currencies going kind of sideways. Pound Aussie at very near session highs, and Euro Yen not too far away from its session high. It set a session high around 4:30 this morning. And staying pretty well between the session high and the moving average EMAs. Our indices, the Russell and the Dow, upper left and upper right, seem to be in a significant up move at the moment, moving well off their session lows now. The Russell some 25 points off its session low. And the YM and the Dow, 32037 to almost, it's 170, almost 175 points off of its session low. Yes, 10 o'clock. Actually, that would be a POQ. Nope, I wouldn't. Now, if I choose not to take a trade and the system hits POQ, then I'm done. I think the only adjustment I would have made on that, I might have made an adjustment on that trade to 593 or 58.93, getting above that immediate spike there. But that would have been that was the trade as presented. Now, if you're waiting for it to pull back and test again before going up, that's a valid way to stay out of it. But I still would, using that, I still would take that as a POQ and not risk further trades. I was busy watching what was going on for everybody here and missed that one myself, Brett. So I'm not going to go back and risk another one because that was the trade I should have been in. $10.0202 on my chart. Entry at 92. As I said, I would have adjusted to 93 above the swing level immediately before that. And it moved pretty rapidly. 10.0202. Actually, that was only 7 seconds. And the next bar, very likely that was not tradable, Brett. So that one likely was not tradable, and therefore that would not count as POQ, and I would be looking for a new trade. And when I do that, I normally turn on add-ons if it's still in that trade. And I think I see an SMA trade there. Yep, there it is. And that is at it's like 22, 59.22. So in that particular case, that being an untradeable trade, I would consider that a no trade and take the next trade. I would take that down to the short now down to 03. And so the short would be the trade and hitting target 1. $16 ticks unadjusted. If you pulled up that trade late as I did, didn't ended up not getting in sync with it, and I took the short at 59. I was moving to 59.03 and didn't get there before it triggered. And meanwhile, our currency trades are still going sideways, taking some heat, but bouncing back up off the 50 EMA. The pound Aussie on the lower left, and the euro yen just orbiting around the moving averages at the moment. If you did get into the long on crude, then you would have stop and reverse adjusted to 59.02. Not a big enough trade, I don't think, to take the additional 3 ticks to 58.99 for a key level, since you're already making a 2-tick adjustment for the stop and reverse. So a 20-tick loss, picked up 14 ticks on target 1 and 1 tick on this trailer. So net 5-tick loss. on those two trades, or a 15 or 16 tick win if you didn't get into the long. So that would be a POQ on the 10 a.m. session if you missed the long. And there is another stop and reverse at the natural stop on the pound Aussie. Stop and reverse at 49. Hopefully the 50 EMA will hold on the pound Aussie. And we'll go back up. But if it does break through, we have a short setup at the natural stop for the trade. Or at least I do. All right. Looks like I'm buffering. Well, there's a long trade on crude. You and I both should be done, Brett. In that case, Brett, the short was actually the reaction trade, but it extended far enough to get us a target one. crude showing 3 consecutive target 1 winners there. If you ignore the blue SMA add-on. So as you were saying, you were afraid of getting into the reaction trade. Well, turns out that's what the short trade ended up being. And that's part of the argument for, if once you have a trade plan, trade that trade plan. If you had avoided the short like you avoided, well, the long was not tradable based on its 7-second bar after the setup, and it never came back to the entry. Yeah, exactly. If you're, depends on what you're looking for. You saw it bounce off the session low and give you the long, and I understand why you didn't want to get into a reaction long if it was going to go lower. But it's sometimes it's hard to second guess the market, which is one of the reasons that Troy and I both, I've learned it from Troy. You take the setups, and I tend to do exactly the same thing you're talking about. I will tend to wait for a pullback on some of those that look like they may very likely be a reaction situation. But the more I do it, the more I find that you're just as well off, if not better, to just take the trades as they present. Some of them are pretty obvious, but you don't know what the market's going to do. But what you thought was reaction actually turned out to be an initial action, and the reaction trade was the short. So you have that's why we say you have to work on the left or the right edge of the chart. You don't know what's coming. Now, had the short extended back down to the session lows or beyond, we wouldn't be talking about it being a reaction. Okay, that's 2 closes beyond above the balance line, so that cancels the stop and reverse short on the pound Aussie. So take your entry order off. Now you're getting very close to money management on the trade a day trade. Trade a day being 8077. and it got to 78.3. So, and I see Kevin posting now, so I'm assuming that he's posting to move to break even for trade a day. Yep. Because mine was a stop and reverse, my money management is up at 8080 with target at 8081. So looking for a little bit more of a push from Pound Aussie. And going up through session highs is always, or usually, a little bit of a fight. Now my chart is plotting. You see the dot right there at 64, plotting a stop, the break even, but didn't hit my money management because of the stop and reverse adjustment. So that's a manual adjustment, and you have to account for that. So we are not to, I am not to money management yet. If you're trading trade today, don't follow what I'm saying on my chart. Follow what Kevin posts. Because you want to follow the trade a day charts. But I'm trading the Pound Aussie off of my charts, not trade a day. So I have not brought my trade to break even. And if and when I do hit money management, my stop will come to 69 because of the stop and reverse entry being at 68 for me. Interesting, if you look at the top center, crude went up and tested its 200 moving average right here. and is coming back down now. I want to stick around and see what happens to the pound Aussie here. I have a high of 78.7. 787 with being the 7/10 of a pip. So 1.3 pips from my money management. Money management's been hit on trade today. Yeah, we're at an hour and a half now this morning. I don't want to just drag this out. And give it to the top of the hour. See if the pound Aussie can push through to target 3. It's like set a new session high at 79.2. Got even closer to my money management. And there it is, money management on the pound Aussie on my chart. So my stop will come up to 1069. as I mentioned, now that's not nice. Poked up through target and didn't get filled. And there is target 3 filled and hit. So there, 3 of your positions come off. 60% on for trade a day. One more fixed target at target 4, and the trailer. And now the pound Aussie starting to move. 2.5 pips away from 2.1 pips. 1.8, 7. And target 4 being hit. So all we're doing now is watching the trailer on the pound Aussie. And we are also getting close, for those in the Spotlight FX alert service, we're getting very close to our stop on or actually a stop in reverse on the pound Aussie. We currently are in a short and have a stop and reverse in play at 81.02. And the stop has moved up now as plotted to 8069, which is where my stop was with the stop and reverse. So looks like close of the next bar should move it up to 8073. Rejected at the 8100 level, out as high as 80986. Key level providing some resistance there. All right. Any further questions? Since all we're doing now is watching the trailer on that pound Aussie trade, I am going to bring it to a close this morning. Euro yen is still going sideways. You too, Brett. Thank you. Once again, don't forget to hit the like button. Just don't break it. That will help the YouTube algorithm promote Troy's channel a bit. And that we'd like to see. So everyone have a wonderful afternoon, a good weekend, and I will see you again on Monday. Troy is going to be out, so I will have the room on Monday. So I will see you Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday as things stand right now next week. Mark your calendars. The Tuesday and Thursday sessions from, let's see, starting April 13th. So April 13th and 15th, 20th and 22nd. I will be actually, and probably session on the, let's see, 27th. Yeah, I'll be flying that day. So I probably won't be. So that the 13th, the 15th, the 20th, the 22nd, and the 27th, I will be dark. I'll be traveling. And it looks like Troy is going to be missing some of the Monday and or Wednesday sessions during that period as well. I will let him make announcements on that, because I don't know what his schedule plans are at this point. But just so you can mark calendars, that's a couple of weeks out. So next week and the first week of April will be normal schedule, at least for me. So we will see everybody next week. Have a good weekend.